How are you?
Fantastic. And I do apologize to you and your audience. It's sometimes challenging to cross what we're 8 or 10 time zones away from each other, I think.
Yeah, and even a whole dateline. I mean, it would have been the 6th of October in Honolulu, and over here was the 7th of October. So that was a mix-up, but let's forget about that. Please, Kelly, who are you?
Who am I? I am the caffeinator. I'm actually the CEO of Caffeinator Media, which produces two shows right now. We're bringing on a third in January. But Agent Caffeine, which is fuel for the real estate industry, and it focuses on transformation and innovation for people in the real estate vertical. And then Breve TV Uncorked, which is about women in wine and entrepreneurism.
Well, I guess that's a very good combination, real estate and wine. But with Agent Caffeine,
Yes.
it's not a podcast anymore. Right now, it's a hangout. Is that correct?
It's actually still a podcast. Although
Hmm.
we're using the video Hangouts on Google, we did that because we wanted to make a video cast available for people as well, because sometimes they want to see who they're talking to. But we still are available on iTunes and Stitcher, and so it's audio only if that's your preference, or if you like video, we've got video as well.
Really cool. Hey, today the subject in Den Bosch was big data. Now I was in New York at the Real Estate Connect last January, and that was the big thing, big data. Now, what's this whole big data issue in the States right now? What is it, and where is it going, and why is it
Well,
important? Sorry.
absolutely. Okay, so data is, quickly becoming everything. We're so interconnected from our smartphones, with which just about everybody has in the palm of their hands, to their iPads or their laptops. I mean, we're using internet data constantly, and we're giving people, little breadcrumbs of what we're doing, what we're interested in, and what we actually buy. So I think it's funny that we're calling it big data, because it's just data. There's nothing big about it except for the way that you can use it and how you can help market more effectively. So I think what you want to look at is that, data is beyond infographics and visualizations. It's really more of a way for us to understand how the consumer thinks and how the consumer is transitioning as technology becomes, it's an extension of their palm now and literally glued to their ear oftentimes.
Yeah.
So being able to follow people's habits in a granular level gives us such a better understanding of how they're doing business, and it helps us as organizations to market more effectively.
Okay. Well, what I found out today that I talked about it during the Congress about big data and what is known about the behavior of consumers, but there was a very big issue and a lot of questions about privacy. I mean, there were a lot of people that were surprised and maybe a bit objected, I think is the right word, about how much companies knew about them. It's just a really Dutch issue, but is that an issue in the States as well?
I think that Americans have taken this with, it's almost like a give and take. A lot of these technology companies are giving you access to information that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, often in the form of subscriptions and things like that. So they're giving information away for free. In exchange for that, you're agreeing to their terms and conditions, whatever they may be. And I know at this point, when people see terms and conditions, they're not going through them. Most of them are boilerplate things that have been written up by corporations and attorneys, but they could be pages long. Apple's, for instance, is probably about 15 or 20 pages long. So every time you want to sign up and use their service or download a new iTunes
Hmm.
program, are you going to read everything and look for the nuances? we honestly don't have time. So there is give and take, and there are definitely some issues. I mean, you look at the NSA, the National Security Advisory Organization here in the U.S., and they actually were using information with and listening into conversations without the knowledge of the people who are on the internet. And that it blew up, goodness, about a year and a half ago. Google now has told NSA, you know, hey, sorry, you're not getting the information from our people, but you know, where else is it out there? And I mean, every time you sign up for a form, you sign up on a form for the internet, all of that information becomes a permanent record somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So I think whether you're Dutch or American, there are huge privacy issues. And how data is used, I mean, it can be very helpful in marketing, but if it's not used properly and if it's not helpful, it can get very creepy and very scary.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And of course, another thing is we don't realize as consumers that in order to use all this free stuff, we're giving something away.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that we're sharing with our friends and other people that make, you know, Facebook basically is a broker in the information I put out on Facebook for marketeers. Back to the real estate. We are slowly creeping out of the big crisis here in the Netherlands. How's the market in the U.S., Kelly?
You know, I would say they continue to call it a housing recovery, which mystifies me. I mean, we had a bad situation in 2005, 6, 7, 8-ish, and seemed to be in a recovery around 2008. But I think it's kind of bounced back pretty solid. There are some markets that are still dragging a little bit, but what we're seeing on the West Coast as well as the East Coast are some pretty, you know, interesting markets. There are, San Francisco, you cannot get, and this is, we thought the prices in 1999 were going to level off in San Francisco, but the effects of Amazon and Google really have helped to keep those numbers afloat. In fact, not only afloat, but nowadays in the city of San Francisco, you can't get a 2-bedroom condo that's really nice for under $1 million. I mean, you're getting dumps right now for $1 million. The negotiating situation, and this is kind of a, I would say this is more seasonal. We're already into October, so the market traditionally slows down around this time, and not astronomically. You know, there are slight shifts in the market downward because of the seasons, but we're seeing some investing happening, like New York City investors may be tired of where the prices have gone there and now moving money to LA. So there's interesting dynamics. They're calling Austin, Texas, one of the most overpriced markets in the U.S. right now. Why? Because is it sustainable? I mean, these dramatic increases in prices of San Francisco and Austin, is it sustainable? It really depends on what the economy is like there and what the growth projections are for the economy, right?
So we're getting kind of like these micro markets out there that are really attracting a lot of capital and making it a healthy market again. Is what I'm hearing here, because we're slowly going upwards, is the fact that a lot of brokers and agents are now saying, hey, listen, that stuff with the internet, that was really great, but we're back to a normal market again, so forget about that internet again. It's just about people's business again. Is that a view which you second, or I can understand the view?
Not. Absolutely not. I can't agree with that, and I'll tell you why. The consumer, now that they've gotten a taste of that data, of that information that we've, as agents and brokers, have so closely held dear to us, we've made it available. If you take that back, I think you've destroyed trust with the consumer. The information needs to stay out there. They need to and want to find their own houses. Sure, they use an agent when they're ready, but they need that empowerment. You know, today's day and age is all about information. And if you're not the ones providing information, then you are going to become a dinosaur. And dinosaurs are not attractive anymore. Especially, they're extinct. But, you know,
exactly.
One thing I wanted to point out, because this correlation between data and real estate is so interesting, and what we've seen in the markets in Hawaii, in the U.S., with the Trulias and the Zillows and the Realtor.coms of this world, we gave them all of our data, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of no strings attached. You give us X number of dollars a month, we'll license the data to you. What we're missing, though, now, and what the assumption is, I think that many organizations have, is, you know, the Trulias and Zillows, is they can use all of that data forever. The data, you know, a listing is one thing, and having the listing and all the information about a house. When that house sells, that's another important key piece of data. This historical and over time, the trends data, the granular data that starts to appear on the internet when agents do things like go out and see an open house and give a review on that particular property. All of this kind of secondary data is becoming even more valuable. And right now in the U.S., the brokers really aren't thinking about that. The MLSs and associations aren't thinking about that. So there is a huge opportunity, and I know you guys have something similar to the Trulia Zillow Realtor.com situation, but there's an opportunity for the industry, the real estate industry, to take this historical data, this granular data, and repackage it and monetize it. We're missing it in the U.S. I hope to goodness sakes the Netherlands beats us to it. But looking at Zillow acquiring Trulia, and the numbers were in the, gosh, I want to say in the billions. Insane acquisition costs. Yeah. They know the value of that data, of the information, of the consumer's habits, and that's why Zillow acquired them. Rupert Murdoch sweeps in, and he's the head of News Corp Media, one of the wealthiest and smartest guys on the planet, and he just acquired Realtor.com in the last week and a half. So this is a data game. It's an information game. It's an understanding the consumer game, and people who aren't playing that game are going to miss the boat. The consumers will not buy from you. They may over a period of time, and some people will be relational, but in the long run, they want to be empowered. So the more that you utilize data to better understand their habits and to give them the information that they need, and also getting on the granular level of serving up information about your communities, your buildings, your neighborhoods, that's when you make a difference as an agent or a broker in this market.
I totally agree with you, and especially the stuff I read about that Rupert Murdoch is indeed also taken over, or on the acquisition road, as we would say here, is very peculiar, and it means that you got a big consolidation actually of two companies against each other. On the one hand, Realtor, I guess, and on the other hand, the combination Trulia Zillow.
And just to clarify, I referred to the search engine site, which is Realtor.com. The parent company of Realtor.com is Move Inc., and that's actually the bigger entity that Rupert Murdoch has acquired.
That's a nice bridge, because 1 year ago, Move.com acquired Doorsteps.com.
Oh, yes.
And I think that was a move to change the cycle of searching around. That I think we're going to be seeing that on the basis of consumer behavior, houses or neighborhoods are going to be offered to the consumer instead of the consumer looking through everything and not making any sense of all this data.
Yes.
Much more giving the listings that truly fit their profile. Um,
Absolutely. And I think, again, I use the word granular often here because that's truly what the consumer is missing from us in the real estate industry. We're not giving them enough information about relocating to a completely new neighborhood. They don't understand the nuances. They don't understand the safe streets versus the dangerous streets. They don't understand the proximity of where to get, food. Is it going to be a big chore for them to get their kids to school? So I think from a blogging perspective, enhancing that data by providing granular information to the consumer will empower those companies. And we are seeing shifts and trends with organizations that are providing information on the very specific, very granular level of neighborhoods and communities. They're getting more leads, they're getting more quality leads because they sound like they know their stuff. Instead of just spewing numbers and data all the time, giving the consumer what they need and the information they can't get anywhere else is hugely important. And that's still the value of the agent and the broker, as well as interpreting the data. So we can shove all the numbers we want at them. There comes a point when there's stuff that they're not going to understand or they're not going to be able to translate well. And that's where we still have and will continue to have a key role.
I absolutely agree. Just like with Uber, people are looking like at the Uber taxi, the company.
Love it.
Yeah, but a lot
disruption, yes.
Exactly, but the fun thing about it is it's a lot of agents here in the Netherlands would have thought like, okay, what's the next Uber going to be, and is that going to be a threat to my job? But Uber came, that didn't result in less taxi drivers. It made their work and the way they're going to serve the customer, that has made a difference, but not. There are no less taxi drivers. Before we wrap up, I have to ask. There's a couple of companies which I found interesting in the last Real Estate Connect. Relocality.com was one of them. Do you know about Relocality.com?
I'm not familiar with them.
Check them out, Relocality.com. So basically what they do is they match your Facebook profile with neighborhoods in New York at this moment. So which neighborhood in New York best suits your Facebook profile? I think it's very interesting. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of companies accessing your social data and connecting that to real estate data.
Agree.
Well, one more thing. Are you going to be at the Real Estate Connect this year, or next year, I should say?
Absolutely. After 36 years of residing in the Hawaiian Islands, I am relocating to San Francisco, so the trip will be much easier.
Wow. Well, at least there's going to be a big Dutch delegation, and they would love to meet you. We're going to be with about 30 people there this January in New York, and we'll hope to see you there, and I want to thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us, to share what you know, and I hope to be seeing you in January. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to meet all of your friends.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.